Hello and welcome to Sensational South. I'm Harish Upadhyaya. Over the next 30 minutes, we bring you all the major stories and newsmakers from across South India. Our top story today comes from Tamil Nadu. 2 weeks since the car blast in Coimbatore, stunning details are emerging. Investigation has shed light on how youngsters in South India have been radicalized. This is the strategy that's been used in multiple cases, whether it's Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Kerala, or other places. What is the latest challenge for investigating agencies? We'll debate this with the eminent panel, but first the report.
On October 23rd, a Maruti 800 burst into flames when an LPG cylinder went off in the car near the Kottaimedu Sangameswarar Temple in Coimbatore. Investigation in the case has now revealed some shocking details about the suspect Jamisha Mobeen's modus operandi. In fact, Mobeen's prime accomplice, Afsar Khan, had purchased the sulphur online way back in January 2021. The modus operandi of the accused matches the ones adopted by several other radicalized youngsters who have been arrested in South India over the last few years.
Some of the investigation done so far indicates that he has bought many items through Amazon and courier service. The investigation is basically going to all the angles.
The National Investigation Agency and the local police have managed to bust several terror modules in Kerala, Tamil Nadu and Karnataka over the last few years. All of them have a pattern. Educated youth who have been radicalized coming together, being guided by terrorists from abroad via Telegram and other digital communication channels, and most of the explosives sourced locally and sometimes online. Most of these radicalized youngsters are locals, a significant shift from the earlier pattern where outsiders from Bangladesh or the northeast carried out such sinister operations in the south. In September, Shivamogga police in Karnataka arrested suspected ISIS terrorists. They were planning a big blast and wanted to target non-believers or kafirs. In fact, they had even carried out a trial blast on the banks of the river Tunga. They burned the Indian flag and videographed it for ISIS propaganda. They gathered most of the components required for the blast and were waiting to procure a relay circuit and some aluminum components when they were arrested. In July, Bengaluru's Central Crime Branch police arrested a terror suspect Zuba from Salem in Tamil Nadu and a food delivery executive Akhtar Hussain Laskar from Tilaknagar in Bengaluru. According to the police, the accused were in constant touch with the terror organization through his Telegram account and social media and was planning a meeting soon to discuss his extremist activities. Few years ago, agencies only focused on ISIS-related activities in Kerala. But in the recent years, the tentacles seem to have spread to other states as well, with the local police and central agencies now staring at a new challenge.
It's a new challenge, has to be debated. We have an eminent panel joining us today. We have Mr. Gopal B. Hosur, the former IGP of Karnataka Police. We have Mr. Mazhar Sharif, who is the spokesperson of the AIMIM. We also have Mr. Patikrit Payne, who is a geopolitical analyst. Mr. Payne, I'll come to you first. We've earlier seen people from Bangladesh or Northeast settling in southern part of India and indulging in such activities. Now you have locals who are radicalized, who are carrying out such attacks. What has really changed?
Well, Harish, there has been a false presumption for a long time that radical Islam or issues related to Islamist terrorism is typically a North Indian phenomena and that the South is more or less immune from it in spite of the Coimbatore blast in 1998 and in spite of the fact that a large number of people from Kerala were actually sent to ISIS, war zones by organizations, allegedly by organizations like PFI. Unfortunately, this false sense of immunity is one of the reasons that, these kind of incidents have actually gone unnoticed. Secondly, in today's era, if you look at it, number one, what happened in Sri Lanka in 2019, that time also, the suspicion was on Tamil Nadu Tawhid Jamaat. Also, Maldives has been one of the biggest repositories of number of people having allegiance to ISIS when compared to their population. There has been a problem of South India for a long time, including the issue of large number of expats going to Middle East working, and some of them, if not all, actually come back with a very radicalized mindset. So for a long time, these issues were ignored in the
Okay, you're
name of
saying
perhaps secularism, in the name of presumption that these are North Indian problem, and also on the presumption that the bigger issue of LTT has been sorted out, so nothing else will happen. Today, what has happened is that it's coming out in out
okay,
the
you're saying
closet.
this has
And
been
number
brewing
two,
for a very long time. I'll take that question to Mr. Gopal. I'll take that question to Mr. Gopal B. Hosur. He was also in charge of the coastal region, one of the belts which has seen a lot of problem. Mr. Hosur, according to you, what has changed over the last few years? You were in charge of the coastal region at one point in time. That's one problematic area that several agencies had kept a close watch on. But now a lot seems to have changed if you look at what has happened in Coimbatore or even in fact Shimoga, where two people were arrested and they managed to carry out trial blast on the banks of River Tunga.
I think, thank you for getting me onto this panel. I have been an officer who has worked in the coastal regions of Karnataka, which are adjacent to Kerala. In my opinion, the northern part of Kerala is the epicenter from where the radicalizations started. And it has spread over to all parts of this country today. And the problem of radicalization in South India per se has been going on for the last 3.5 decades. Southern states have been fertile grounds. The 5 southern states and 3 union territories have been fertile grounds for this radicalization to spread. Post 1992 and the riots that followed in Mumbai and in other parts of the country, a lot of youth got drawn into serious fundamentalism, and this was captured by certain elements to train them in violent activities against the state. And over a period of time, the homegrown terror took demonic proportions, carried out a number of terror activities, not just in South India. South India, for that matter, has not had the serious kind of terrorism that North and Western India have had. Nevertheless, the footprints of the radicalized youth from South were seen all across the country. And with the spread of the
Okay,
social
the food.
media, the Telegram, the WhatsApp groups, the
Yes.
encrypted messages, I think the radicalization is no longer restricted to certain geographical entities. It is now very widespread.
Absolutely.
It is very widespread and it is very
In
deep.
fact, that seems to be the challenge for the enforcement authorities. I'll come to you, Mr. Sharif. Is there a
Yes.
sense within the community now that more needs to be done to ensure that youngsters are not radicalized? You have seen cases where youngsters have been radicalized in coastal Karnataka, Shimoga, there have been arrests. In fact, one person was picked up from Tilak Nagar recently. Coimbatore also has seen arrests and raids by NIA and other agencies earlier. Is there a sense within the community that there needs to be a stronger message sent across to the youngsters to stay away from all of this? Because if you look at them, just bunch of friends coming in, getting radicalized, and in fact managing to procure some of the explosives and carry out trial blasts, or in case of Coimbatore, even a full-fledged blast.
Harish, in this case, first of all, what I would say is radicalization is what happening today. Especially what I was hearing with along with the other panelists, and I was feel that it was only particularly it was targeting towards the Muslim community. One. Secondly, today any community for that matter, any community, I don't think so. In any community, people won't try or won't give efforts to avoid these youngsters to get radicalized. Okay. First of all, today government is not taking any proper steps. You have to see this, whether it is Maga, is Halli, whether it is what happened in Hubballi, see the pattern. If you see the pattern, every time these boys who are getting radicalized, okay, I definitely don't support them. Yes, of course, they have to be punished. Okay, any person who's getting into radicalization, the government has to, the authority has to punish them and give them the, as per the law, they have to be punished. But here, what happens is, what happened in Shimoga? The way the government authority sitting, as a sitting minister went and, spreaded haterism, the sitting BJP
Mr.
government
Sharif,
that
that
time,
can't be the reason for anyone to take up arms or plan bomb blasts.
Absolutely, it is not wrong. It's absolutely wrong. It's absolutely wrong. Anybody who's doing it, but the government has to educate them. What government is doing towards that to hold this? Whether there was in the panelists, one officer is sitting and he said from since 92, means he's saying that from 3.5 decades this thing has been happening. So for that, what government steps have been taken? Have the government reached to them?
Okay, you're saying the government needs to do more. The community is doing enough. There is another
Absolutely,
important point, whether it's Coimbatore or Shimoga. All these accused, in fact, were under the radar of local agencies. I'll take this question to Mr. Gopal B. Huzur. Sir, whether in Shimoga or Coimbatore, the local cops were actually tracking them, but still they managed to go ahead, procure explosives, or in case of Coimbatore, carry out a blast. Do you believe now just tracking and seeing where their movements won't be enough? There needs to be a much more effective surveillance mechanism.
I fully agree with you. Actually, a couple of them, as far as I am told, were under the radar of the police, and a lot of a watch was kept on them, both by the state and the central agencies. But however, this Coimbatore incident also would not have come to light, but for the accidental blast that appeared to have taken place. So there is a need for greater vigilance and greater penetration into such radicalized youth groups, modules, and they need to be nipped in the bud. So there is definitely a greater need for vigilance on the part of not just the police, but the civil society as a whole.
There's a greater need for surveillance and vigilance. Mr. Payne, how difficult is it? Because in all these cases, we are seeing them communicating through a telegram. We are seeing that they do not leave much of a footprint. A lot of communication happening online, digitally. How difficult is it now?
Well, of course, terrorism is not a static entity. I mean, they are dynamic as well. And there are people, unfortunately, there are intelligent people into that as well. So they would keep on evolving. It's the challenge, the onus is of the law enforcement agencies to actually do the needful. When it comes to terrorism, unfortunately, there is a false sense of presumption that everything has to be done by the central agencies. It's really tragic, Harish. This person who was killed in the blast in Coimbatore, the accidental blast, fortunately, not many casualties of innocent civilians happened.
Well, definitely there needs to be a much more effective surveillance mechanism to ensure nobody who's under the radar slips away and indulges in any such activity. Well, time for a break now. On the other side, we'll get you an agenda-setting interview with Karnataka Chief Minister Basuraj Bommai, who's hit out at the Congress, rubbished the 40% commission charges, and also quelled all rumors about a leadership change.